I'm going to ask all the questions that I'm sure the viewers want. I'm going to ask the hows. I'm going to ask about the barriers. I'm going to ask about the hurdles, etc. What I
Right.
want you to do. So you've painted a picture basically. You've in the last 12 months you've built this very strong business based on a very strong brand and also based on helping people to create a very clear brand for their own business.
Right.
Prior to that, what was what was it like? What was your day-to-day work like? What did you do? And because you're saying you've done all this in 12 months, that's a very short space of time to go from to make £100,000 in your own business. Some businesses aren't turning that over in 3 or 4 or 5 years. But previous to that, and we'll look at that later on. But previous to that, what were you doing?
I was a professional photographer and professional graphic designer.
Mhm.
And me and my husband, we have a juicing business called Juice Me Baby. So we also made cold pressed juice. So
Okay.
we running three businesses and
Yeah.
still can't pay bills. It's
Yeah.
like, what is going on? Like we're good at photography. We're good at graphic design. We know we know this juice is the bomb. Like, why are we broke? So prior to that, I used to be a flight attendant. I've always been in the customer service industry, always.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much what I was doing before I went into the online space. We sold juice. I took photos and I did graphic design. And I felt like me transitioning from a person that do photography and graphic design to becoming a branding expert was like the best of both worlds, because I didn't have to give up photography and I
Mm.
didn't have to give up graphic design. And when you get into the online space, they're always saying, okay, you got to have a niche. You got to have a niche. What's your niche? What's your niche? So I felt like if I was able to provide branding, I didn't have to give up neither. So it's
Yeah.
kind of like a win-win.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay. So at what point did you did you make that switch? Did you just say, you know what, let's go for it?
I
What was
think
that period like?
I got tired of the type of clientele I had at the time. Like, I had clientele that always want to nickel and dime me. Oh, that's too
Mm,
high. That's too expensive.
mm,
Um, and essentially, I was just tired of being broke. I'm like, how can you be this talented and then not have nothing to show for it? And I
mm.
just got really, really fed up. And I knew that I wasn't broke because of my talent. I
Yeah.
was broke because of my education and the knowledge about how to attract business owners. I mean, how to attract business.
Mm,
And one of the biggest thing is, like, when you get it and you start a business, you got the gift, right? You're
mm.
awesome at what you do. But
Yeah.
where people fail at is not understanding marketing. How do you attract? How do you bring clients to you all the time?
Yeah.
Because once you do get a client, they eventually got to go. And one of the
Mm,
things that I also did that was different, it was I learned to incorporate other business models. Because at the time, I was only doing service-based business model. So eventually, I added a recurring revenue model where I
mm.
was able to get residual income month to month. And I realized that I was able to charge these premium rates because I was allowing people to pay over time.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So that first client from Singapore,
Hmm.
how did how did you get that lead and how did you build that relationship? Because I'm conscious that a lot of our viewers, the bulk of them are those who they want to make the transition, and
Hmm.
they might be in a job or they might be at the early stages of business, and to think about pitching a client at 5K 10K off the bat is a bit like, oh, okay, that's challenging.
Okay.
Am I worth that? I know we've had this discussion about pricing. We'll go into that later on. There's a lot of things we can discuss about that. But in terms of your mindset and pitching that person for that first time, how did you find that client, and what was the mindset in terms of I'm pitching them at this rate?
Um, you're asking some amazing questions. So this thanks. So I think the first thing was I met her in the same community that I had invested in. So
Okay.
in this community, they have over 13,000 women from all over the world. And initially, when I met her, I didn't even know she was in the community because she's not
Mm.
active. She wasn't active at all. So it was kind of like she found out about me and opted in for my training, and we set up a call.
Yeah.
Now, in regard, because I also did Facebook advertisement as well.
Okay.
So
So you were very visible, even though
right,
you just launched. You
right,
doing this the free video, the 50-minute training video. You were active in this group, and then you were doing Facebook advertising as well. So you
right.
were visible.
And I missed the part that's super important. I had my stuff together. Okay.
Okay.
When
So
people came to my website, everything
yeah,
was organized. Everything was legit. Matter of fact, most people were like, why is she even in this program? Like, she has this
yeah,
beautiful website. She has these really cool videos. She has this, she got this really cool stuff going on. Like, who is this girl? It's kind of like I popped up on the scene and people were like, who is this? Who is she? Who is this Audria Richmond girl?
yeah.
So it was like, that's one of the things that when people initially contact me, that's one of the first things that they say. Your branding is amazing. Your this is
Hmm.
amazing. Your that is amazing. And what I keep telling people is that before people open their mouth to buy from you, you got to
Yeah,
look good.
yeah,
And I
yeah.
think that's one of the things that helped me land that particular client. But as far as coming out the gate with those rates, for me, it was a confidence level. It was me stepping into something that I wanted to believe in myself. I wanted
Hmm.
to believe that I could charge $5,000. I wanted to believe that I was worth $10,000 because I am,
Yeah,
But,
yeah,
being in this online space, when you're taught to start small and go big, that's also a challenge. You're going against the grain. You're going against what the online marketers' granddaddies say. It's like you can't do it. It's
yeah,
impossible. So yeah, I challenge the norm, and that's what I always teach my clients and people that I know. Challenge the norm. Don't just blend in. You can't
yeah,
innovate if you look the same.
yeah,
So
yeah. I agree.